Welcome to Cage Free Voices Radio Network, an innovative educational entertainment radio network where youth and young adults have the opportunity to see themselves even if the world is blind. I am your host, Bathsheba Smithen, and we are here live on Cage Free Authors, and I'm really excited about our guest today. This is part one of I Get Paid for Writing, but She Writes for Fun with Ameen Zaidi. Now, Ameen Zaidi he was born in Pakistan and he lives in Dubai. He was born on March 11th, 2007. He has a twin brother, so you might see someone else walking around looking exactly like him. He enjoys playing basketball and likes to study science. This author has always had a fascination with writing a book and loves to read in his spare time as well as play video games. He is the author of The Last War. Yes, he is a published author and still in high school. Ameen, say something to the people.
Great to be here.
Oh, sorry, we lost some sound. Could you say that again?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Hi. Hi, everyone. It's really great to be here. Really looking forward to the interview.
So, I mean, before we dive into talking about, just your work as an author, how you came about going down the path of writing, let's talk a little bit about school. Like, what I know young people who are listening to this want to know a lot about, like, what is it like to attend school in Dubai? What is the culture? Talk to us a little bit about that.
So, I've grown up in Dubai my whole life, so I can't really say how it's like for other people across the world. But in Dubai, I'm going to guess it's really unique because you have people from all these other religions, cultures, all together in one place. It's like people from everywhere have come together in one place to come learn together, be with each other, make friends. It's like you have people from Europe, America, Asia, like everywhere. It's really fascinating.
Fascinating. I love that you said it's fascinating.
Yes.
Now, we were talking a little bit offline before we went live, and we're talking about music and the entertainment area or just the avenue of entertainment, the entertainment industry. What type of music would you say is the prevalent genre of music in Dubai? Or even just, well, I guess I shouldn't make it as broad as the UAE. So, guys, if you're not familiar with where Dubai is located, it's located in the United Arab Emirates. So, the UAE, you'll hear me saying UAE. So, tell me a little bit about like what the music preference has been in that particular area.
So I'd say it really varies from person to person. It's the same as almost anywhere else. There's no like remarkable difference. So it's people like hip hop, rap, jazz, all types of music here. I'd say the most prevalent one is pop, hip hop, and rap, but it really just it's different everywhere.
And what's your preference?
My preference, I personally like hip hop and rap.
Hip hop and
Mhm.
rap. Who's your favorite artist?
My favorite artist. Now I've got slightly different music taste. I don't have like a specific artist or two that I really enjoy. Rather,
Mhm.
I if I hear a song and I like it, I'll add it to my playlist.
Okay. But who would you say you lean more toward? Or
I lean more towards
could you name a few artists that you listen to?
a few artists I listen to. Well, hmm. So I'd say I'll go with Eminem,
Okay.
Liam Payne, and then Tevez.
Okay. Awesome. So you're a hip. Do you rap it all yourself?
Um, Not really, no.
Okay. Okay. So we also discussed like, and this was interesting to me as we were discussing offline, just like the homework style over in Dubai. Could you just address that a little bit for young people who are listening and maybe feel like homework is a daunting task here in the United States or even in other countries? What's the setup for homework in your classes? And I know you're at a British school in Dubai.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
So as you said, in the US, that homework, I'm guessing it's quite important, and you get graded on each assignment. But here in Dubai, well, at least at my school, Dubai College, well, here we get homework. It's not really something that's extremely important. You're not graded on every homework task. Homework is more like, I guess teachers see it to help you revise for your own exams, because homework will usually be like complete a worksheet, write a paragraph, just do it, but you won't get graded on it. It's not going to go anywhere. It's more
So,
for yourself.
so since there's no grade associated with homework, what motivates you to do it anyway?
What motivates me to do it, I'd say partially for my own education and partially because I do not want to spend 40 minutes in detention.
So you get detention if you don't complete your homework.
Well, if you don't complete your homework, you'll be fined like the first 3, 4 times. But then, of course, if you do it too many times, you will have to be put in trouble. You can't be
Oh,
let off
wow.
every time.
So it's not really optional. It's like here's a way for you to make sure that you understand the information. You're not going to be penalized by being graded, but you will be penalized for not
if you don't do
yourself.
it.
Yep. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead.
If you get it all wrong as well.
You said
if you get like a 0 on it, it's fine, as long as you do it.
Okay. So let's talk about what got you into the place of wanting to pursue this writing journey. What sparked your interest and what made you decide to take your craft to the next level whereby you'd be getting paid to do what you're doing? Because a lot of young people, they write and they keep it in their notebooks or in their journals, and they don't really try to take any steps forward with it, or they think they have to wait until they are older to become authors, but not you. So talk a little bit about that.
I actually wrote the book when I was really young, around 12, 11, that age. And now I'm 15. So, but I got into writing initially because, I've always had like stories in my head. I'd always make them up in my mind, even when I was like 5 years old, like playing with like small action figures or toys. I'd always have like some kind of story in mind. And then I'd keep having that over and over. And then one day I remember I was on the bus on the way to school, and one of my friends decided that he wants to actually write a small story of his own. And, I saw him every day do that for around 2 weeks before I decided, okay, I'm also going to do it. So now he ended up writing like a couple chapters before giving up. But I started writing, and then I guess when I started, I just didn't stop because I kept on going. And then we had summer vacation, which really gave me a lot of time to like find out what I really want to write it about, what I want to do.
Hold on. So you took your summer break to write?
Yes, I spent around.
Most students are like, summer, I'm tired of the school year, I'm not writing anything. But you said, this is prime time for me to do this.
Yep, I spent around an hour, like probably 2 hours a day doing it.
Wow. Did you need any incentive to do that, or where was that coming? What was that stemming from? Was there a story you just felt compelled you had to tell?
I guess, like I said earlier, I had like an incredible amount of ideas, and I guess I really never ran out of content to write about because I could just keep pouring and pouring everything I had onto a page.
So how did you get to the place of saying, okay, now that I've finished writing out my ideas, I want to have this published?
So I decided if I'm really going to write something that big, why would I just contain it to something small, like as a Word document on my laptop? I could do something with it if it's something I spent that much time on, something I was that passionate about. So I decided to do some research and reach out to Austin Macaulay. And around a month later, after I sent my application, they came back to me and said it was accepted.
Wow. Wow. So you did all of this on your own. Did you have any assistance from your parents?
Of course, my parents did support me and they helped me with the application process.
Yeah.
But I guess most of the writing in it was my own.
So I remember when I was younger, I actually started writing in probably early on, maybe around the same age as you, but I didn't think to go and publish my stories. Now, I did have some of my poetry published at the time, but I would write these scary stories and read them to my siblings late at night. So what's your genre of preference for writing?
My genre of preference, I'd say it's always just been fantasy.
Fantasy.
Fantasy fiction. like Lord of the Rings. And when I was
Ooh.
younger, I ended up reading a lot of Harry Potter.
Oh, so that's where you got your idea for your book that you have. So let's discuss the title of the book. Go ahead and put the title out there and give us a brief synopsis of what the book is about.
So the book is called The Last War, and it's about like a war that's been fought since the dawn of time over and over and over. And now like it's kept getting reset and reset and reset. But now it's the final one, like literally
Mm.
the last war of the universe. And it's basically about four people who come together in an attempt to stop it by finding another four people who will be chosen to carry on their powers and stop the
This
big bad.
so you have this going on in your head at 12,
Around about so
11.
11, 12, yeah.
And that's what is meant by when you say one to stand up against darkness. These are individuals. So,
Yes.
one to stand up against the dark, one to harness the power of fire, one to harness the calmness of water, one to harness the strength of wind.
I mean, it sounds a bit cliche with the four elements, but that's what happens when you're 12.
No, I love it. I'm just blown away by the ideas that you had at that age. Did you watch a lot of television or read a lot of books? Where did this stem from?
I think it came from books mostly. My parents, like, they would read to me since I was around 2 years old. And then they didn't let me watch TV until I was around 7 or 8, probably even more. So I spent a lot of time when I was younger reading and reading. All the way, I kept reading until I was like 13, where then schoolwork came in. But before that, I used to read a lot.
What would you say to inspire other young people to read as much as you have or continue to do?
So I guess it's more about you don't really treat a book as something just like words on paper that you have to like mindlessly read through, look at every word in your brain. It's more like it's really just a story that is in your imagination. When you're reading, don't just read the words. Think of it in your head. Like envision the actual story, what the author is saying, because you can create a whole new world from a book in your head.
How do we get more young people to actually pick up a book and do that? Because, with social media and being able to watch YouTube videos and TV, what would encourage or what would you say to encourage young people to not just simply, view everything rather than creating the real within their own minds?
I'd say what helped me a lot was the motivation from my parents and their incentive to help me read. And for young people on their own, what they could do is most of it's really about actively doing something. That's what I think matters most, even in writing my book. You had to actively get up and do it, actively put your phone down, actively stop watching YouTube, actively do it all. You can't just subconsciously be doing it. You have to make a real effort.
Mhm.
And when I say real effort, it doesn't mean it's always very difficult, but more of you just have to focus.
Mm. With where you are now in your educational career, do you foresee yourself writing more books?
Well, I have had a couple ideas for new books actually. I haven't really ran out. I've even written a couple chapters of one before, but I can't really find a lot of time anymore since for I don't think Americans would know about it, but we have our GCSEs, which
Oh, those are your standardized tests?
yeah, that's for people in year 10, year 11 equivalent to grade 9 and grade 10.
Mhm.
So those are pretty big for us. And with that going on, I don't really have the time anymore to sit down for 2 hours a day writing.
Is that like the equivalent of, I'm not sure if you're familiar with SATs or the ACT here in the United States?
Um, no, those are separate. Those, in fact, for the US colleges, if we want to apply to those, we also have to do SAT separately by
Okay.
ourselves.
Okay.
But
So
and they're not
GC
even similar.
so GCSE is more like a standardized test specifically for your grade level.
Yes, it's not even for a grade. It's more of a course than a test. We take it over 2, 3 years. Well, for our school, we started doing science. in year 9, and we
Mhm.
have the exam in year 11, but most subjects we do for 2 years. You take a whole course, learn all about it, and you're finally given one exam at the end of those 2 or 3 years.
What? So you guys wait that long to assess it? So your school systems wait 2 to 3 years before assessing all of that information that
On
was
one test.
what that's that has to be extremely stressful.
It
What
does.
happens if you
I-
fail the test?
Then I guess you're gone, really. Because, I mean, I still think it's not really fair that, 3 years, 2 years of hard work just for one paper, one grade. I mean, it's one
Wow.
grade for each subject, but it's still like a large portion of your life being left up to one grade.
Wow. I wonder who designed that system.
It's
Who
an old
designed
system.
Yeah, it probably
Yeah.
needs to be reconsidered. So are you kicked out of school or do you have to retake the exam?
To be honest, I've got no clue, and I hope I don't have to find out. But I don't think if you fail all of your subjects, I think you would want to retake it, even if you're not forced to. But it's something you would want to do.
Mm. Oh, that's
But
a lot to take in.
but most of us want to apply to U.S. universities, so
Mm,
it's not a big deal for U.S. colleges. SATs and A levels are, but for UK universities, they look at it in particular, so that would be an issue.
okay. So, what do you aspire to do outside of writing? Because you're already an author, you can continue with that. Is there anything else you're looking to do with your career?
With my career, well, I have had some thoughts about what I want to do when I'm older. It ranged from at one point being a banker to a doctor, and now I'm leaning towards a lawyer. But really, I haven't really focused on one particular thing yet. I still feel like I have a lot to try, a lot to learn before I can,
Mhm.
just shorten my life down that much.
Gotcha. What would you say, because this is Cage Free Voices Radio Network, you hear the name Cage Free, what comes to mind? How would you define cage free?
K3, I think it's the right, your honestly, your human rights to express yourself, be free, do what you want to do, and nobody can stop you from doing it. If you want to, for example, write a book, then who's going to stop you from writing a
Mm.
book? It's your own incentive, your own choice, and you should be able to do it.
Mm. Yeah, Cage Free Voices. Cage Free is to be all of who God created you to be, which is a direct reflection of His glory. And so, some things that you want to do, I love what you said about, like, if you have, you don't want to put limitations on yourself. There are some barriers that we put in place that could cause us to not be able to progress or to achieve certain goals, but we do want to remove those barriers and have boundaries for ourselves. So boundaries keep us safe. So we don't necessarily want to do any and everything that we want to do, because some things that we want to do may be a result of bondage that we experienced before. And I can unpack that in another episode. But I love what you said about not having limitations. And if you would like to write a book, write a book. How would you say, outside of writing your book, you consider yourself to be cage free?
Cage free. Well, I'd say for example, I get up at I started taking care more of my health around half a year ago. So now I can get up at 5 a.m. and there's no restrictions on me. I can do what I want at that time. There's no one else awake, so I'm really free to do whatever I want to do. And that
Mm.
really can give me an edge. I feel free, no boundaries, no restrictions.
So you have the mind of an entrepreneur.
Um, I don't know if an entrepreneur, but rather um, just something freedom, really,
Mm.
or independence.
Independence and freedom. Liberate me is what you're saying.
You could say.
Well, excellent. I mean, I love everything that you've said. Well, guys, this has been part one of I Get Paid for Writing but she writes for fun. We are going to be joined by Khalid in the next part of this this short series. And so I want to thank you so much, Ameen, for your time. Guys, if
Thank you.
you so thank you so much for joining us for this episode of Cage Free Authors. If you would like to find out more about Ameen, check him out through Austin Macaulay Publishers. Stay tuned for the next episode. And if you like what you heard and would like your children to be involved in Cage Free Voices online learning, and Cage Free Voices Radio Network is a part of that whole umbrella, then feel free to reach out to us at cfbonlinelearning.com. All right, guys, remember to see yourself even if the world is blind. Reflect, connect, and transcend every internal and external barrier that will try to cage your voice. Remember, be cage free and liberated like Ameen Zaidi. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.